Hello everyone, I Radhika Khurana welcome you to yet another episode of Lawyer Speaks presented to you by Law Community, wherein we invent brilliant rhymes of legal fraternity so that you get to peek into their lives and get to know their stories. And today we have with us Advocate Anukriti Lekha, NCA candidate at Federation of Law Societies of Canada. She has also worked as a law researcher at NCLT. So my first question to you is how did you develop interest in law?
So in the beginning, obviously, when you're in school, the part till 10th, you're not really very focused. And the same was with me. Academically, I was okay, but then I didn't know what to do. I always wanted to go into a creative field. And so I was like the normal child who used to just play around and didn't know anything what to do. But then in 11th, I developed this thing. I joined a few NGOs and I used to teach kids in slums and everything. That's how I decided to just know everything ground level wise. So there's nobody who's a lawyer in my entire clan, I'd say. Like nobody knows anything about this profession. So that's how I was just fascinated, but then there was this constant fear in my mind as to what would happen if I join it, because it's not easy. And then the ethics part is so difficult that, even if you study, the practice part is so difficult when you don't have anybody. And then I just decided to give it a shot and just go for it. And then I joined more NGOs, and then that was the basic start point of me realizing and just knowing as to, is there anything that I can do for the society, especially, the downtrodden. And my maid used to come to my house and she was like, oh, you know what? I have to pay so much in their legal fees. I don't know what to do. And I didn't know how to help her than just putting money into it. So that's how I decided, let me do something, at least help some part of the society, if not everything. So that's how I developed. That was my basic start point of developing interest. And then I gave the exam, and I think it was just destiny that I got in with good marks, and then in the 5 years law course, and then LLM, and then everything just happened. So I believe that thing just triggered me. So 11th and 12th were my basic start points of me deciding what do I have to do. Before that, I was always into creative fields and, no, I want to do something with art or say drama. And this is so unexpected for this to come across, because law doesn't, it's not something that you can just decide, okay, I'll do it, and you do it. It requires your constant effort, and, so that was something that I actually had to make up my mind for. But then I think the push behind it was so much that I did it. And I spoke to my mom, and then she was like, okay, do whatever you want to do. It's not, we're not a family of people who would not, who would want you to do something which you don't want to do. So if you want to give it a shot, just give it a shot. And then I gave it, and then everything was fine. So maybe I think more than anything else, it was destiny, and that part where I used to work for the state NGOs.
That was an interesting story. So how was your law school experience like?
My law school experience was just like normal children. It wasn't the first year. I didn't know where was I. I didn't expected such a burden of studies on me, and moot courts, and all the presentations. So I was overwhelmed with all of this. And BA LLB, you have to study LLB too and study BA too. So for good 6 months, I was like, no, I'm not even studying law. What course is this? And then after say 6 months, I was like focused, and no hanky panky, not doing anything, and let me just try studying now, because it was overwhelming. And but then I've got an amazing experience. I did my law from Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, which is affiliated to IP University. The teachers were so amazing, like wonderful. Some of them just helped me. I just used to go into them and say, oh my God, nobody's a lawyer. I'm being overwhelmed with the kind of teaching and everything. I can't finish up my work. I can't do my assignments. But being academically okay, I won't say very, very good. I turned to be very good in the few later years of the course. But initially, I was okay. But the good part was, if you have the right kind of backing, whether it be through friends, the encouragement, and through teachers, professors, anybody, like, in the college. I think that really helps you. So the first 6 months, I'd say that I was here and there with myself. Okay, I want to do this, not do that. But once I actually felt that I'm doing law, not the BA courses, but the actual law, when you get into, it's interesting to study criminal law. It's interesting to know your rights and be like, oh no, you know what? I know my rights. So that's the sense of empowerment that you get from when you know it. And I believe your logic becomes so strong if you're a lawyer, that you can argue like this snap, okay, I'm arguing, and it just becomes into you. So I used to, the initial years, everything was like the normal school playing pranks and everything, and then being caught and then called to the office. It was like that. But academically, it was amazing. So I believe that internships really helped me more than anything in it. So the 5 years just flew by really, and I didn't even get to know. I'd say the initial first 6 months, I took time to adjust and to know what will happen with me and how am I going to do this, because you have to strategize, and I'm very organized. So I want to know how to study, when to study, how much to study in each day, because everybody knows their capacity, right? So that's how I just strategized for 6 months. I took a breather, and then the 4.5 years were like piece of cake and pranking everybody around studying, and then it just flew by. You didn't even get to know. So that's about it.
So, how did you strategize your career after law?
After law, I believe, so what happened after 4.5 years of me in the law school? Obviously, you have to think, what do you want? I had like 110% plans of going into judiciary. I thought, let me try, because there was nothing academically and otherwise in life also. I want to try everything, like being adventurous to being studious and everything. So I really wanted to go into judiciary and try as to how will I score if I'm there. And if even if you don't get through, I feel the encouragement that it gives you, rather than being discouraged that you're not into it, I think we should just think that you at least gave it a try. There are people who just back out and don't even try. So I knew I had to give judiciary, but then being organized and planned, I wanted to have a backup too. So I was looking for jobs, I was doing my LLM, and then I was also studying for judiciary. So I gave exams for 3 states, but then unfortunately didn't get through. So for one of them, I just cleared the prelims, but not the mains. So I knew that it has to be. I think how one should strategize is in a way to know what your interest is. If you really want to go, I decided never to go into corporate, and I landed my first job into the National Company Law Tribunal, which is so strange. So I think not strategizing is kind of the best strategy sometimes. So what I did was, I just decided to go in for judiciary because I wanted that power, I wanted that knowledge, I wanted to be known for something amongst my friends, amongst the society, and obviously the thing that I do better if I'm a judge, because you see how it started with the downtrodden and everything. I'm still associated with NGOs. Not being in India, I am still associated with NGOs here. So it's been like since 12th standard, I've been associated to NGOs. So I thought maybe, I'll do that, I'll be better. But then sometimes things don't work out the way you plan them to be. So that's what happened with me. I planned to become a judge. I went to all different states to give the exams. But no, that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't destiny. So it didn't happen. Obviously, I was discouraged in the beginning, but just for a few hours. I was happy that I'm roaming around in different states and getting to know different people. So I have a group of friends which is just from different states, because I just used to give exam and make friends and come back no matter I pass the exam or not. Obviously, being focused is something that is required. There's no two ways about it. But I think let's just not be disheartened if you don't get in, because sometimes destiny has bigger plans for you. So I think that's what happened with me, and it turned out to be such a beautiful journey. I was disheartened for a few hours and then just came back, bugged up myself, and be like, no, it's my exams. I have to do LLM too. So I did that. So I believe just be focused and be organized into what you want. And I used to look for exams. I used to just see how are the exams? I used to talk to people. I think talking really opens up a lot of avenues for you. Just talk to new people and just I spoke to a lot of new people who just joined into law, and then who went out of law, who went into different fields, into say being judiciary, just giving the exams, or being full-fledged judges. All of them have different experience, and it is so nice to know everybody's experience and to uh, strategize your experience and your career path is really important. So that's what I did, and I gave judiciary, but I could not get through. That's like one part of the story, but I was doing well, so that's how I just decided to be like, not just go with what everybody says. So we have a lot of peer pressure in the law school. Like everybody, somebody is doing, no, I want to earn money, and somebody's focus is, I want power. Somebody's focus is something else. I think just find what your focus is and what interests you. If money interests you, then I think you should just go for corporate, or just go into a field where you know that you would mint money. But if you think you want to help, just step back and just be into litigation, join legal aids, join NGOs. So just know what you want is really very important. And when you know what you want is when you decide what you want to do now.
That was a very helpful answer. So you also mentioned that your first job was at NCLT. So how was your experience in NCLT, and what was that one thing that you learned there that you will never forget?
I joined the National Company Law Tribunal in 2016, which is also, my life has been full of controversy since I was in school. I used to land up myself in so many controversies, not knowing what will be the result. And till now, also here in Canada, I have this habit if anybody is homeless, say, and I'm just going like, and I'm like, hello, do you need help? However, I'm like, no, you land yourself in trouble. You don't have anybody here. So my life has been full of ups and downs. So in 2016, I gave the interview. For good 4 or 5 months, there was no answer. I thought, no, I'm not going to get the job. There's nothing that I can do about it. In September, mid-September, I got a call from the National Company Law Tribunal, Delhi, and they say that you've been posted to Mumbai. Do you want to go? And like, no, I cannot go Mumbai because my mother is a single mother and I have to take care of her. I have other responsibilities too. However, turning that down was breaking my heart so much, but I had to do this anyhow because family comes first for me. I could have done something out of my life in Delhi itself because I was studying. So I thought, if it has to be, it will be. If not, then it won't be. I believe in destiny a lot. So they call me into the office and they are like, do you want to be transferred to Allahabad? No. And then I turned out to be somebody who's, demanding so much out of her job. And they say, you're demanding. I'm like, I can't help it. And after a day, she calls me and she says, you've been posted to Chandigarh. I'm like, wonderful. I love Chandigarh. And Chandigarh is just 4 hours away from Delhi. And I'm like, okay, I can travel. My mom said, okay, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And then I was posted there. So my first day, I didn't meet anybody in the office. I was posted with the judicial member there. So I just go and wish him after the office. And he's like, who are you? And I was devastated. I'm like, I was coming. And then he says, no, you were posted in Delhi. And I say, no, I'm here. Like, carrying all of your baggages, going, shifting your life. And they say, no, you're not posted here. I was, for split seconds, I got numb. I couldn't feel myself, not my legs. I thought I'd just break down. Um, and then he says, no, I think that's been some confusion. And I say, no, sir, there cannot be any confusion. I shifted my whole life, like like my mental peace, my physical self, my things. And then he was like, give me a day, let me figure it out. The entire night, I could not sleep. I was like, oh my God, I finished all of my savings, I paid for everything. And now I ran up into this. The next day, he's like, okay, now you've come, just stay here. I'm like, no, that's not happening. I have to be here because I was supposed to be here. Like, my entire tenure there, I can't be thinking that I was just put in for somebody. And then he figures out that there was a mistake. So they thought that I'm somebody else. They posted me in Chandigarh, and that somebody else was posted in Delhi. For a week I was morose. I didn't know. I was like, no, it's a new city, I don't know what to do. But but he has been an amazing person. The staff was so nice, everybody. So, and then gradually he was so hardworking. He just taught me, you know how we read different posters which say it is not impossible, it is I am possible. It's actually that. And there's, I think whenever we are stuck into a situation, just see there's one solution that is always available. And I still believe that even in situations which are really small, till situations which are really uh, important to me, which can change my life, I think there's always one solution that's available. So my journey has been amazing because of the amazing members there, the amazing staff members. I've seen things changing there. When I joined, there were like 10 people. When I left, there were 40 people. So the good part about NCLT is they tell you to do everything. It's not just being a law researcher. It is about doing everything for them. So we used to make cause lists together. We used to arrange the files together. I used to be a law researcher. Then I used to sit in the court. I used to do everything, and that has just changed my personality, my perspective towards law, and my perspective towards how you should never say that I don't want to do this. I never wanted to go into corporates. I did mergers, which is hardcore corporate mergers and amalgamation. And then when insolvency came, I used to do insolvency. When I started insolvency, I remember I knew nothing. And I was like the entire time with the code as to, oh, you're saying this, let me just read up, let me just see what you're saying. With mergers, I was fine because I was doing this right when it started. So I think the most important thing is hard work. If you enjoy your work, you will, the hard work will automatically come in. The push is automatically there. You don't have to push yourself and be like, no, it's my job. At the end of the day, I'll earn. And that's what I'm doing here. Never think about that. Just think about the effort that you're putting now will pay you off in a couple of years, maybe. And if there is nothing that's impossible, there is nothing. There's one solution that's always available and would be available. So just look for that solution. It may not come now, but it may come at an odd time when you think, when you're not even thinking about the issue. I used to be cooking someday, and I used to find answers for my questions in office. So it's right, when you have that thing in mind, it would come to you. So I think there's always one solution available: hard work. Just put in your effort. Don't see what is the result. You will come through. That's about it.
Okay. So coming back to your studies experience and everything, so you have done LLM. So what would you advise? What advice would you like to give to the students about LLM? Like, how should they pursue it? Like, what subjects should they go for, and how do they decide the subject?
When I did my LLM with the sole purpose of doing my PhD. So I did my LLM from Kurukshetra University, which has all the subjects, because I like to keep my options open. I didn't want to go into a national law school just because I had to study one subject there. And my focus was not doing LLM and then doing a job. My focus was doing PhD after. So it didn't really matter what's in between, what's the connecting force in between. So I believe that if you know what your interest is, just go with the interest and have one backup. So if you decide to go into corporate, if you decide to go into criminology, just take up one of those subjects and one another subject, so that if what if you don't develop interest, what if you lose interest, what if it becomes monotonous to you, at least you will have one backup to you. I believe always have a backup plan, so that if you fall, you still have something like a crutch to go back on. Because if you fall, and after so many years of hard work after law, if you fall, you're going to fail. And then that turning point for everybody, it's not that they don't really take it as an encouraging thing for them. They'll be like, no, I just lost interest, let me take a sabbatical. at the age where we are, I think we can say, take a sabbatical. There's nothing wrong about it. But I just believe that just do all the hard work now and enjoy your retirement. Just retire on an island and just be for the rest of your life. Be, oh, I hard worked and that's what I'm doing now. So just I think I plan my life according to that. So I believe just have a backup is really very important, which I did. My focus of LLM, as I told, was not LLM as an element and doing a job. Things just turned out way differently for me, but I wanted to do PhD after it. So I planned myself according to that. But if you want to do um, LLM from a national law school or from any place, I believe, from any institution, that doesn't really matter. But I think just be active in terms of mood courts in your presentation and your thesis rather than just going and being, let me just study, it's my exams. That's really important. And socialize as much as you can. You'll make more contacts, and then in the field that will help you, if not right now.
So, what advice would you like to give to the students who are studying law and like how to strategize their years while they're in law school?
I would repeat myself here when I say have a backup. So even if you're in law school, you don't really have to, everybody doesn't have to go into litigation. I believe students right now, they're so much aware of new different fields. I've been talking to different students and they're like, no, I want to go into sports law. And I remember when I was doing law, sports law is not a subject in law school. Things, law, media law, and there are different things. Just explore your field, even if you don't want to do the cliche law part of it and say I'm a criminal lawyer. Just do something so different. Just be a document writer. Just know what your strengths are. If you know your drafting is strong, go for drafting. If you know what researching is strong, do that. I think that's, you can divide your law school into pranking and having those kinds of experience, into extracurriculum, co-curriculum, and into the educational aspect of it. So if you keep both hand in hand, and then also plan ahead, have a backup, plan ahead. Don't say 20th is the last day for filling my form, I'll fill it on 19th. No, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, the system just stops working. You don't know anything. Just take a week in advance. Fix yourself. Don't remind yourself that 20th is the date. Say 15th is the date. If you say 15th is the date, you'll end up doing it on 17th anyway. Because subconsciously you know that it's not the date that you know of. It's not the date that it's written. 20th is the deadline. But plan ahead. Have a backup. What if you fill this form, you don't get into this university? Fill another one. Fill four more. It's not about you, how much do you spend, it's about how much do you earn that thing back. If you spend 100 on a form, that 100 rupees is going to turn into 10,000 when you've done your LLM. Have a backup. Do your hard work, not thinking as to what will happen. Just keep doing it, keep pushing yourself. It's not about having sleepless nights. It is about smart work than hard work. So when you put your smart work into it, you don't have to read the entire book. Just read it in a way that you know what you're reading. Understanding is very important. Just don't cram up, because even if you cram up in while you're doing your LLB or your LLM, it's not going to help. You will forget anyway. Just understand what you're doing. So smart work is very, very important than hard work. It's not about the number of hours you put in. It's about the number of hours that you put your smart work into it. Even if I am somebody who prepares notes, so I used to just read the book and prepare notes, and then on the day of the exam or before it, revision to me was very important. So before the exam, I just used to skim through my notes. And you know how in while we're doing our law, one person makes the notes, everybody has it. So I used to make the notes, everybody used to have it, or somebody else used to make the notes, I used to correct them, because I like to do things myself rather than just relying on somebody else's notes. So smart work is very, very important. After law school, also I'd say planning ahead is important after law school. So for LLB, smart work is important. For your LLM and your job part of it, it is very important for you to plan ahead and to always, always, always have one backup option that you want. Be it an internship, something, but just don't sit idle. It is difficult for you to explain the gap sometime later in life when you're questioned about it, not right now. Right now you're just enjoying the time of your life because you're like, no, I'm not getting a job. But no, I think there's some effort lacking in there. Just do an internship, just talk to new people, just do freelancing, documenting, drafting, just do researching for anybody, but just do something. Don't take a break, as in break that I'm not doing anything so early in your life.
So, is there any piece of advice that you would like to give to us, like law community, as to what to introduce new and what to improve?
I think law, as in general, I'd say is very diverse, as we all know. But then in law schools, it's just the subjects that you're taught, just the regular civil code, criminal code. There has to be one part of it. I don't know whether it's in all law schools or not. I'm not quite aware. But in my law school, I have French as a second language. So we had an option between French and German. I took French. And it was so good because when I came here, at least I understand what are people saying, because French in Canada is like, there are people who speak that too. So that's very important. Just have one something different which is not your regular law. I think they should introduce uh, say sports law, say media law, say cyber law as in the core cyber law. I know some law schools have cyber law as their subject, but like core. So not just studying a subject as in, okay, you come into the class and then you do it. I think if you study media law and anything, animation, anything which is, everything has a law. Like everything is backed up by a sanction. Everything is backed up via a legislation. Everything has that. So I think just introduce 4 or 5 new subjects, and you'll see that there is a variation of where people want their life to go. Right now, the students are generally not very keen to be focused on subjects which are not the cliche subjects that we get taught in law school. It's because you never taught them. And even if you're doing LLM and you decide to go for a different subject, it's like 5 years. What were you doing 5 years? If you want to do if you want to manage your whole life according to those 2 years of LLM that you do, and that to a different subject altogether. I think just massing in a new subject which is interesting, which doesn't make law school a law school experience and is more interesting. Moot courts obviously are good, and all the munds and everything, they are good, but I just believe that there has to be something else to make it more interesting, a field which we can relate to, a field like every day it's not about your fundamental rights. Every day it's not that somebody is committing a murder and you giving them advice. Every day is not about murders, but every day in somebody's life or every week in somebody's life can be media, can be uh, sports, can be anything, but not the regular cliche things that we're taught in the law school. I think it can be something different too. So just introducing some subjects which are not actually the subjects which you want to focus your entire life on. I'm sure there would be people who would want to go into say different fields. They would want to do some financing, some cryptocurrency part of it. Then they want to know what are the sanctions behind it. We won't know. We just have to open the laptop and then do things ourselves, rather than the help that we would have got from law school. So just have some subject which interests you more, rather than on which you have to do studying and academically everything.
Thank you so much. We will surely work on that. And thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. We wish you
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
success. Thank you so much.